They say the lake never sleeps. Even at dawn, when the sky glows soft with grey and rose, there's something unsettled beneath its surface. Lough Neagh, the vast inland sea of Ireland, stretches beyond the eye's reach. It's beautiful, yes, but always watching. The waters lie still, dark like slate under the overcast sky. There's a silence here that goes beyond sound, something deeper. The slightest ripple disturbs the mirror-like surface, as if something stirred beneath, or something waited. Old maps called it Loch Neagh long before our time. In faded ink, the cartographers marked its expanse with pride, but also caution. Around it danced mythical beasts, not just decorative flourishes, but warnings from those who'd heard too many stories. This lake, they knew, was different. Along its muddy shores, villagers gathered. Their clothes were worn with work, their eyes fixed on the horizon. Some crossed themselves, others whispered. No one went fishing alone these days, not after what they'd heard. Long before Christian tongues named the lake, there were stones here, old ones, carved with spirals and coiling shapes. The serpent was sacred. The eel, a symbol of more than life and water. It was a god to some, a curse to others. Either way, it was never just a fish. There's a tale from generations back of two men in a boat, hauling in a net that suddenly refused to move. A writhing shadow rose beneath them, and before they could scream, it had coiled around the hole. One man vanished beneath the froth, the other lived, but never fished again. Not every story ends in blood. Sometimes it's just a feeling, like the one that clung to Seamus, a lone fisherman who often rowed before dawn. He'd look over his shoulder more than once on those mornings, not out of habit, but because something out there was looking back. And then there was the wake. A child had died, drowned, they said, though none were sure how. As the candles flickered and the murmurs circled the room, no one dared say what they truly thought, only that no one should walk by the lake after sundown. The boy's grandfather spoke softly by the hearth. The eel, he said, had always lived beneath the loch. It had been angered, perhaps by too much fishing, perhaps by something older. The child listened, wide-eyed. In his heart he believed every word. Some believe the lake is cursed. An old woman once said she saw it, the shadow, moving just below the surface as she gathered water. She dropped the bucket and ran, praying all the way home. No one laughed. Not around here. Even the priest came to the lake side that summer. He cast blessings over the water and marked the sign of the cross. But the wind changed direction that day, and the waves slapped the shore harder than they should have. The crowd left quietly. Washing clothes by the lake was once a daily ritual. Now women went in twos, glancing at the water as they worked. Some claimed they saw shapes in the mist, long, winding shapes that didn't belong to any fish they knew. And beneath it all, in the depths no light could reach, a shape moved, vast, slow, ancient. Like a whisper, it passed through the gloom, too large to be real, yet too vivid to be imagined. The village held a gathering that twilight. No one spoke of the eel aloud, but everyone felt it in the air, a tension, an agreement that something had returned. Children were called in early that night. Later, under moonlight, a ripple broke the lake's surface. A boy swore he saw eyes, two pale orbs just beneath the reeds. When he returned to point them out, nothing remained, but he never walked that path alone again. One man, lantern in hand, traced the path by the lake. His dog refused to follow. He stood for a while, staring out across the mist. Then the lantern flickered, and something shifted in the darkness. Storms came suddenly on Loch Neagh. Wind howled across the surface, slamming into the cottages and rattling windows. but locals said the eel swam faster in storms, fought off them even. It moved with the fury of the lake itself. They called it the storm eel, and when it rose, it wasn't quiet. It broke the surface in thunderous arcs, sending water and boats into chaos. At least, that's what the man who saw it said, the one who lost 2 fingers and his brother in the same night. That summer, families fled the lakeside. One village emptied overnight. Pots still simmered on stoves when the elders arrived the next morning. No one ever said why, but the fishermen never came back. At dawn, boats bobbed empty on the lake. Nets drifted, tangled and torn. There were no footprints, just mist and silence. But people talked, they always did. The tavern glowed with firelight and fear. An old man recounted the eel's eyes, wide as lanterns, staring up at him from beneath the pier when he was a boy. The room listened, spellbound. By morning the lake looked calm again, beautiful even. The mist danced like silk. It always did the day after something happened. Not all depictions came in stories. Some were painted centuries ago. Sea serpents with long jaws and curling tails, drawn by monks who claimed to witness them. The eel had always been more than a myth. On Midsummer's Eve, old rites returned, a pagan ritual, masked and silent, performed by moonlight near the reeds. They didn't summon the eel, they offered to it, as if something ancient still listened. A child once carved an eel into a piece of driftwood and set it adrift on the lake. It came back the next morning, resting on the shore by her home. Her parents burned it. That night she had dreams of drowning. Not everyone feared the eel. Some sought to understand it. Victorian naturalists came to study the lake, sketching eels and logging data. But even they wrote of strange disturbances and unexplained damage to equipment. By the 1900s, newspapers ran headlines like, "Mysterious serpent sighted again." Eyewitnesses described a creature longer than a boat, moving fast, churning the water. Most dismissed it, but some packed up and left for good. The old ones still told their stories, fireside memories laced with fear and awe. No matter how the world changed, the eel remained, always in the water, always watching. Some found proof in stone, carvings half buried in graveyards near the lake, showing twisted serpents beside forgotten names. A warning, perhaps, or a mark of respect. Storms returned to Lough Neagh with eerie timing. The dusk sky turned to fire. Waves lashed the docks, and for a moment something breached, vast and black against the dying light. Then it was gone, and yet the people of the lake endure. Every year they celebrate. A pagan float drifts across the bay, lit by torchlight shaped like a serpent in honor of the legend. They don't worship it, not exactly, but they remember. They always remember. If you've enjoyed this tale, like and subscribe now.